Hi there, it's Roy from Sulphur City Sabers. So today we're just going to be looking at the Relic Hunter model, which is, have to admit, it's one of my favourite designs from the N series range. It was the result of a design competition that the manufacturer decided to run, and pleased to say I think they made the right choice in the Saber that they decided to pick as the winner. It's a if you ever saw the designer talk about their entry and their design, they'd echoed it. It's got really cool kind of old relic vibes. Beautiful shroud, a couple of original buttons, horizontally placed down like so. One a power button, one an auxiliary button. That's across the range of installs from RGB baselit through to the Profis. And yeah, it's just a really cool design. These used to be one single button setups. They now run the 2-button board with the power and the auxiliary. So you got a nice little pommel, gold accents down there like so, quite a standard grip. That would be quite open to taking a nice leather wrap actually, if you wanted to customize this. And then we have the 2 buttons. Kind of a floating assembly here. Everything's kept together with a couple of circlips on the bottom of these floating plungers, which press tactile switches on the inside there. Yeah, and some really nice sort of gentle design elements. That one like so, gold accents. Yeah, just a very, very nice design. So there's been a few changes to this one since the first model we've seen, which is probably why we've waited a while just to do the overview video. This is now, there's some dust off, now shipping at the time of writing with the manufacturer's removable chassis system. So if you want to charge this Saber, whereas the other Sabers in our range, you'd probably unscrew the entire body, the black handle and everything. Here, you're pretty much just unscrewing the pommel. You don't want to unscrew the main body with the 2-part chassis system in there, just in case it stresses the connectors. And then what you see at the bottom there is just a cover for the speaker and the chassis. Total difficult to do with gloves on. So what I want to do is just pull out the removable chassis system like so. And if you can, it's quite difficult to see down there actually, but believe me, there is the female version, so the male version of that particular plug tucked away down at the bottom of that hole. Let me see if I can get this to autofocus. Oh, it did briefly. Right. Right, so in order to charge your Saber, you pull this out, you plug the charging cable in here. You then visually line up and sight the chassis with the receptor, like so. So you rotate it so it's lined up roughly. Put your chassis back in, give it a little wiggle, and it will find its seat in your Saber. And then it is all in and ready to go. Then we'll just pop the auxiliary button back in. So get pommel back on. So you have 2 buttons, as we saw there. We have the activation button like so, and the auxiliary button here. Cool. So this isn't an operation video, just refer to the other video for how to actually operate the Saber. This is just a bit of an overview. So yeah, really nice design elements. A beautiful matte finish on this massive shroud on the Saber. The nice single gold claw at the top there. There's 4 retention screws. 1, 2, 3, 4. If you are using a heavy grade blade, which is what this will ship with, to be honest, you only need to use the retention screws on one side. You can get away with one with a heavy grade blade. But as you've got the two there, why not pop 2 retention screws in there? And that's how I'll be shipping them, with 2 retention screws fitted, and the other side is just going to be left empty as shine throughs. If you're using a mid-grade blade in your saber, by all means feel free to add the additional 2 retention screws. Mid-grade blades, because they have thinner blade walls, tend to be a little bit more flexy, a little bit more squirmy under the retention screw holes. So having a few multiple retention screws just helps alleviate that issue. But yeah, there we go. It's I mean, it's certainly way too pretty to duel with, unless you're quite happy to duel with pretty sabers. It's definitely a nice little display piece, shelf piece, cosplay piece. You could, of course, duel one of these as well. It's perfectly capable of dueling. Being in a this is an RGB bracelet. You wouldn't duel with the NeoPixel or the Profi Pixel in stores, but an RGB bracelet, you could actually use this as a jeweler if you wanted the nicest looking saber, dueling saber on the block. Right, so there we go. So other things just to comment, the 2 little eyes here, just keep an eye on those. They are screwed in with a little red accent just below. They don't illuminate, they're just there as a bit of a dummy accent. Yeah, and it does, like I said, hang on, let me show you. If you do ever need to get into your saber, do not unscrew this part of the saber with that chassis in. As you can imagine, with that removed, there's nothing really there to support the electrical joints just here. So that is just one thing to note. And there we go, we didn't see them earlier. But that's the male version of the connector on the inside. So altogether, just one really, really nice model. We've had amazing feedback regarding the design with these. And like I said, it's probably one of my favourites in the range as well. Let me just line up that. So it might take a few attempts for you to get used to inserting your chassis. Like I said, you have to line it by eye. Then once it's in, it will, a couple of little wiggles and it will seat in. He says doing the absolute worst job. There we go. Let's do it with a good view rather than trying to do it on camera. And in it slots. Okay, there we go. And you know you've done it correctly because your saber will fire up. Cracking design. So if you pick up one of these, you're going to be very happy with it. Okay, if you have any questions, as always, feel free to fire them through. Happy sabering.